Hello, everybody. Sorry for the little delay. Google Hangouts has been a little finicky the last couple of weeks. I'm sorry for that, for the 5 minute delay. But thanks for joining us. And why don't we introduce our guest? It's Father George again.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Senior Daniel.
Well,
And last but not least, Two Doors.
Science.
And this is Hefe. And how's everybody's week going? I know, George, you got into the preview server. We're going to talk a little bit about that as far as some of the raid preview prizes, and some of the changes they're going to make in the game. That seemed pretty interesting. I wasn't able to get in, but oh well. Were you able to get in, Brian, or no?
No, I had work.
Okay, Daniel.
nope, couldn't.
Oh well. And I'm going to, before I let everybody start,
Share the
inform
link.
you. Yeah, I was going to share the link for everybody, and we can get started. So, if anybody else would like to join us, there's the link. And if anybody would like to start with anything, I need a few minutes to find the slides after Google Hangouts froze up my computer. So if anybody has anything to say, it'd be a great time to do it.
Well, I mean, we could start with the preview, I guess. Toxic, what's up, man?
All's good, all's good. How about you?
Pretty good. Did you get into the in the test server?
No, I was working at that time,
Mm.
unfortunately.
So I guess I'm the only one. So we saw the Justice, which was an interesting hull. It was very very powerful hull. We got to see the Visago's Pride, and that was interesting. I think there was a couple of things that weren't working during the preview. But what was more interesting to me was the way the company changed the chromium overlay and the sonar turret with the change to keep out the mudgluts, and it was really interesting. The splash dispersion and the chromium overlay all applied to everything: turrets, walls, buildings, splash overlay on the ships, and it actually changed completely. Like, I don't think anybody hit me with mudgluts in the test server at all, not once.
Yeah, the question I had, you said, did the splash dispersion from something like the Horlex Alpha Behemoth, did you take a look at that blueprint to see if that impacted buildings, walls, whatnot?
Actually, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't actually get a chance to look at that. I had one in the guard, and I actually didn't notice if it had done anything extra.
Yeah, because I noticed that they changed the text of the. Let me see. I can
The
pop
overlay.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They changed the text of the overlay to include everything you mentioned: turrets, turret ships, whatever was included. So now I have.
Well, I think. Yeah, I
Go
don't know that they're actually going to have to do that, because if you remember the radiation one, what the hell is that? The radiation one that it actually does both the buildings and walls, and I think they have it coded so they're separate from the ship fields. So I don't know that that's going to actually overlap from one to the other.
Okay. Yeah. Cuttlefish asked, how does the splash reduction stack?
I am not 100% sure on that. I'm actually trying to find some solid math on how it actually gets calculated for the reduction as well, because I think it's a damage reduction rather than actual splash reduction, which would mean, that your radius is getting reduced.
Mhm.
Instead of the radius getting reduced, I think it's the actual damage that gets reduced. As far as stacking, I'm gonna bet that it's multiplicative, because there was one ship that I had under a lot of fields and it was still getting splash damage.
Okay.
So I'm betting that it's multiplicative rather than additive in terms of how it stacks.
Okay. Right now I threw up a slide. This is I also have the blueprint from the preview server, but this is a description that was given to us on Wednesday in the forums by Doom Rooster. I guess we can go back and forth on this, and maybe you understand it a little bit better after being in there. I watched some of the videos, but some of these things didn't really seem to add up with the stat blocks that we saw, or what I even saw in there. Let's quickly summarize. Oops, not yet. Thorns is a special ability that deals damage back to the attacker for any hits against it. Stacking multiple justice will improve the effectiveness of the ability as well as the thorn duration while reducing the cooldown between activations. Okay, that part I see once we get to the stat blocks. But upon destruction of a nearby friendly ship, the justice will temporarily gain threat, causing it to be targeted by anything capable of firing at it, as well as some additional thorns bonuses. And I'm wondering if that's the berserk of the stat block. This is just the normal stats for the justice. We see an additional above what we've seen on our previous defender halls. As far as the defensive parts, we get additional penetrative and corrosive deflection. We've seen the splash damage reduction before, and it's a ballistic ship, so we get plus 75% reload, plus 55 range, and then we get the ballistic thorns of 50, so I assume 50 damage for 10 seconds with a cooldown of 15 seconds based on what I'm reading here. And then we get into the special attributes of it. And this berserk, I don't quite understand. I'm assuming this is a neighboring ship getting killed. And then what we saw in the text provided by Doom Rooster, this port over here is the sort of the stacking bonus that's provided. And then it has.
Well, I think that berserk duration is probably the threat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, that's what I think that means.
I don't know why they call it
Now,
berserk, but
and any of the special abilities, they don't, they're not influenced by rank, are they?
No.
Not that I see.
Nope.
Does it say anywhere where there's actually the damage of the thorns?
Yeah, it's 50 is the base.
It's on the attack section, far
Right.
right.
Okay, so 50 damage, 10 seconds. Hopefully that's 50 damage every second.
Yeah, we're assuming it's 50 DPS. And I don't know if this ship DPS gets tossed in there. I have no idea. Or would that make any sense that I guess it wouldn't get added in there? I don't know. It's
50
sort of,
well,
times
I think what it is the thorns is it lasts for 10 seconds, and every time it gets hit, it's doing 50 damage back to the ship that's hit it.
oh, okay. So if
For
you
each-
hit it with a high salvo weapon,
Yeah, you're gonna be hurting.
yeah. So you need
Kind
to
of like mudgluts.
yeah, because they're putting out a 24 salvo per weapon. Yeah, so that would be 24 times.
1,200
Okay.
per weapon.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. So, okay.
Then you don't need any offensive weapons on your ships anymore. Just that.
Well, you know,
That's what
at 50, you know, you're going to be hitting minimum damage likely against anything, and the catch is which way that's calculated. Is it calculated the old way where it's what was ballistic 9, or is it calculated the new way through whatever formula that they use now that does a calculation? I mean, we don't know.
Well, we have to assume, um, what we saw as far as I haven't seen the data mining associated with the gluttony, but it was 0.05% of the maximum amount of that deflection for just for conqueror hulls. It's different for defender hulls. So the the actual low and it's different for plates and things of that nature. But
I'm thinking of replacing my gamma with this.
So point 0.005 would be 2.5 damage for each one,
uh,
if that's what it is. It'd be
yeah,
2.5 per 50. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it would still hurt. It would still hurt,
600.
but it's not going to sink you.
Well, if you think about it,
Yeah.
because I ran some numbers with, so it'd be 24. It's 24 per model times
Right, and you got 6. Oh yeah,
times
5. I'm sorry.
5 on a ship, and then you have 4 ships, and then
Well,
it's
it
just
does the damage back to the ship that's damaged it. So it really doesn't matter how many you have in the fleet.
okay.
It's damage per hit
Okay, so we're assuming
back to
it's
the
not
ship.
okay. Okay, so we'll divide this back. So it would just be 300 divided by 4. So it'd just be
Well,
300 per salvo delivered by a gluttony, if we understand it correctly.
And considering that we just had two very different interpretations of thorns, we're gonna need a thorough explanation of how this works.
Yeah. I mean, but do you think we're actually going to get one?
probably not.
Probably not.
Oh,
I mean,
So
which part's unclear? Because just from reading the stuff, I thought it was pretty clear.
well, it's more of, is the damage dealt every second over the duration, or is the damage dealt every hit over a certain duration? And when does the cooldown start? Does it start from the end of the ability? Does it start from the beginning? There's questions and things that
Well,
aren't very clear.
cooldowns usually begin at the end of the duration of whatever's going on. But as far as the damage, I mean that 50 it's 50 damage. That's you know that goes to the ship that's damaging you for each time you're hit during that 10 seconds.
Okay.
The catch I don't understand is when does that activate?
also, if you have two of them next to each other, does it stack? Like if they're both getting hit at the same time with splash, are they both doing double the damage?
They won't be doing double damage, but they'll each be doing damage.
With I mean their own stack, right?
Oh, the thorn damage does stack 125. Yeah, so that'll stack.
Yeah.
You'll get an extra 5 seconds for each one that stacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this will be interesting if you can get, if you can get them where they won't die. Yeah, this might be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
Stack 3 of them at the entrance.
I was thinking
here's
too.
the confusing one. Again, provided the same thing. We can go back to that in a little bit. The penance cannon, which is supposed to be paired with the justice, has a stacking hits increase, a slowing effect. But then this is what we saw in the preview server, where there's no mention of accuracy or a slowing effect.
Yeah, there was neither. It was not an accuracy based
Okay.
weapon in the preview. It was a dumbfire weapon.
Okay. Yeah, and these were
Mm.
so. I wonder which one we'll actually get once we get to the. Once we get to the actual prize, because it seemed like there was one description that's very different than what was in the preview server.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got you guys on. You want to talk about the artwork, or we can skip that?
I mean, I've liked most of it that's come out. I don't know that I've
but
disliked
it's
any of
really
it.
but it's really not. The only time you actually see stuff like this is on the blueprint. At least, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know. And here's the stats on the augmented ballistic armament, and it seems like quite the special for your survivor as well. It's only Conqueror and Defender, and this total weight for something that gives you a ballistic range buff of plus 50 is way lower than anything we've ever seen before. It's normally in the 55% range.
Yeah, I actually put it on my survivor after I actually had Ewok hit me during the test server, and I had two ships that actually didn't have shit on them, and that was one of them. And I was looking at this. The thing that I couldn't understand, and I asked in the test server, and I don't know if they saw the question, was why was the weapon that was coming out with the Justice a dumbfire weapon, but the special was an accuracy booster. And it had splash, it has a splash bonus. I just,
and an accuracy bonus. Like
yeah,
one of you can't do both.
Yeah, and the the splash specials are kind of getting a bit out of hand lately. I don't know what's going on, but holy crap!
I mean, they're already out of hand. We got 6 slots on a hull, and you can put 3 splash specials on, no problem.
And we did we got a question from Chris in chat, is whether the thorn is actually affected by deflection, because didn't we get some other things that we've had some things that like originally wasn't damage over time, and certain things not impacted by deflection?
I think the only thing that is not supposed to get affected by deflection is dot damage.
Yeah.
So my presumption is that this is going to be affected by deflection. I mean, otherwise it's just you can make it way overpowered.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Now,
the damage is. Well, I guess it depends on the way that it's applied.
Now I've got a question. We said the thorns are ballistic damage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if HVR ballistic damage will add extra damage onto the thorns.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I don't know. I mean, my guess, honestly, my guess is it's a new mechanic, so they probably have it outside of everything. It's probably going to be set up like, and this might actually go to whether or not deflection works. Is it might be set up the way that dot damage is, where nothing will add to it.
Oh, great! It's like that thing where you have your Forsaken R&D, and it's called research, but you can't use your research tokens on it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know, and honestly, I'm not even sure if the DOT damage. I thought I was always under the impression that you could increase that with specials.
Yeah, you could.
So I don't know. I mean, there are questions. Yeah, there are questions. We'll eventually get some answers somewhere, but we'll see. I guess
we better.
Oh, is that a demand?
It's pretty low on my list of demands, but
one of the mods may come in and
Oh, and ban me? I don't give a fuck about
shut down your thread for making the demand, or ban you. Yeah, that's a possibility.
I don't give a fuck.
We're probably not going to get an answer until someone actually builds it.
It'll be.
I mean that. Yeah.
He'll just join the party if he gets banned off the forums.
Yeah. Well, it would be interesting to get banned off the forums for making demands on this show.
I think I have literally 0 posts on the forums, so that's going to be a fun time.
Okay, yeah. We can shut you down.
Yeah, the 0 plus 7S.
Yeah.
But
So,
if the VXP doesn't do anything to that, then no special should either. Really, you know
mhm.
where I'm coming from.
Hmm.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But the reload, I mean, because the reason that we originally thought no is there's nothing in here about a reload because the reload is actually caused by your attacker, the way we understand it. It's the reload of your attacker that's driving the damage that you're producing, not
I
your reload.
I could see one broken thing coming out of this, and it would be OP. Is if you threw like autoloader or something on, and it actually affected the duration of the thorns. That
Affected the what of the thorns? I don't even know how
it,
that makes
the
sense.
cooldown.
Yeah,
If
I don't see that. I think we've all been nines again, but I could be
no,
wrong.
I'm just sitting here thinking because he was saying with the VXP not affecting it. If for some reason reload was to affect it, that would be very, very overpowered.
Yeah, but
Yeah, no, that
it's caused by
Yeah,
incoming
it's a reactionary.
projectiles.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reactionary mechanic. I mean, something has to hit you for it to hit back.
Yeah, you're not causing the reload. It's your like if somebody came and hit you with. I guess at this point the worst thing is the muddle missile with all those MIRVs and whatnot. And I guess that's the reason that some of this mechanic was put together because I was thinking like the bypass chain gun and some of this stuff that's just throwing out tons of projectiles. And we're jumping to the assumption that it's per salvo that's doing this because that's the only thing that really makes sense based on what we've seen before. But yeah, I think as far as the tons of salvos coming out, I think isn't the muddle pretty much the the most
The,
extreme example at this point with the
Yeah.
24 coming out per salvo per weapon.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thorn
the
Thorn stands for something too, and I just can't remember what the hell it is.
so what you want that fires once every minute but makes a lot of damage, or you want a slow firing, right, with just there's not many bullets or missiles or mortars or whatnot
Yeah,
flying around with a
I
high
something
was
like the
damage.
scoria or yeah, the same kind of stuff that would be really advantageous in overcoming deflection. So the low salvo, high damage weapons is what you would want to use against it. And the scoria, once you start adding in the critical hits and things like that, I think that would be probably one of the best weapons that we've seen so far against it. Once we're
I know.
experienced.
Oh, go ahead. I
No,
was
go ahead.
just
I was making a
thinking.
point there. Okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking this was going to kill sloths or oppressors outside the base as they're hitting it.
Um, well, because
Yeah, what
anytime a little bit of yeah, that's the other tricky part. That's the other thing I see. If you're even at the edge of splash, if something that's using splash, yeah, and even if it's just the ship is at the edge of splash, it'll be doing damage back to it.
Hmm.
So let's just say you got a spotter in a channel, and it's spotting for some oppressors, say, or sloths or whatnot.
Hmm.
So if all five ships are hitting that ship, are all five getting that damage, that 50 damage from the
should be, yeah.
Should be.
Yeah.
And then I
that's
think
all
it'd
done.
have a cooldown for each target.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I saw some of the video. Was there like some sort of visual representation of this damage?
No, not that I
Yeah,
could see.
yeah. That,
I
that's
couldn't.
the part that confused me because I couldn't see it like working.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not even sure you could prove that it was working during the during the test server. I mean, because look, everyone was in there just trying to whack everybody else, and half the time, you didn't get to watch your base because you were hitting somebody else. So
When in doubt, turn off the. Oh crap! What is it? When in doubt, turn it off so you don't know if you're doing it or not. I'm specifically,
What is
basically,
that?
I have no idea what the hell he just said.
I said I meant when in doubt, if it's working or not, just turn off the actual like sprite of it so we don't know. But I'm wondering, real quick here, with
Yeah, we're still. Yeah. Anyway,
I've been working
Continue.
6 hours and then jumped
continue.
Yeah.
to this. With say scattergun or something like that. Do you think it might count per pellet?
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
that's what we're saying. That's why I was
Yeah.
recommending. That's why I was recommending something like the scoria, as far as would be a good potential way to attack the justice, because it has a high
Large
damage per
yeah.
salvo, and it has a higher chance of critical hits. So you have the highest chance of doing the most damage per hit, which would activate a thorn response. But this is the same mechanism that you already use in order to overcome deflection. Like why the hyena kicks ass, because it's going to overcome deflection with it's the same mechanism, just backwards.
Mhm.
It's the amount of damage that you take, not the damage that you do. So the high damage, low salvo weapons with criticals is the way to take this ship down, for two reasons. One is the ballistic thorns, and number two is the deflection. You're overcoming these deflection numbers by doing that as well.
Hey, Hefe, can you go back to the special abilities real quick?
Sure.
125 range. That's what I thought.
That's on something else.
Oh, it is.
This is a range. Once a ship gets in with 125 range of the Justice, it will reduce the splash that ship does by 25%.
Okay.
Big line right above that. Just saying.
Yeah. So it's a different.
They remembered that line this time. They forgot it with the KB1.
Yes. Cuttlefish says, do you think thorns will hit submerge? Did you see any of that? And I guess you said nobody hit you with muddles, right, George? Hello?
We don't know if it'll hit submerged, but I think so.
Well, in the preview, I was just asking if anybody that was in the preview hit or got hit with, whoops. What happened here?
What
Cancel.
is that?
Got hit with subs, and if that, especially the muddle gods.
I think Grandpa fell asleep.
George. Okay, well we can we'll skip that. Table that question.
I'm here.
and ask it again.
I was talking with the kids. I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Oh, it was a nines question.
Oh, okay. So I didn't miss anything. All right, that's fine.
Does
No.
thorns hit underwater?
No, it was actually a question that started in YouTube from Cuttlefish. Do we know that the thorn will impact submerged targets?
We don't, but since it's a reactionary mechanic,
You can assume. I'm just saying. Did you see
yeah.
anything like that?
No, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't get hit by a single mudglut at all. With all the changes, there was not a single one that even tried.
Okay.
I mean, I think I tried 3 bases with my mudgluts and got completely annihilated in 2 when I took the base on the 3rd one.
And that's because of. You think that's because of the? Let me see if I can get to that slide. Oops. More preview server. Do you think that's because of the new UT transformer, UT-T transformer sonar range?
Yes. Love it. I'm sick of them mud glots, man.
Right.
They can't get my OP, but it really sucks when you get up in the morning and your base is flat.
Yeah.
I had one.
I think you might be in luck.
I logged out and I thought I forgot to repair the other night. Logged back in. I had Mudgut Fleet die on me at 28%.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Alrighty. Well, that's an interesting story. But the thing that I was asking George before, I guess he's spanking the kids again. But they've increased the UT transformer sonar range from 100 to 390. So with the maximum cloak efficiency inside of a base of 75% and the existing footprint of the Gluttony, which is smaller than the Ghost Crawler, so it's going to be a larger number with the Ghost Crawler, they can be detected by this by a tower with this transformer from a range of 105. And before George went off, I was asking if he thought this was the reason that his Muddle Gluts were getting owned in the preview server.
So is that supposed to happen after the raid, or?
I don't know. I would assume because they've ran this preview server yesterday that it might be before the raid. I don't see a reason that they should wait because it's not really raid related.
No, I just see it was the same today, so
Okay.
just had the 100.
Hefe, with a Ghost Crawler, it's 115 range.
Okay. Alrighty.
So it's not getting anywhere close.
No.
Yeah. And yeah,
And
and
115 range would be 230 if you're going to try and deep dive by it.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna need
But-
fast. Go ahead.
But yeah, George, while you were gone, I was asking, did you think the main reason you were having issues with your Muddle Glut in the previous server was the UT transformer, or something else?
It was a combination of all of it, because that thing saw you before you could fire, and then when you could fire, it's not like you could, you can only take so many hits. And I have mine built so it can I have mine built to honestly to be able to go buy sonar subs.
Some armor on
So
it.
I expect to get hit when I go and hit somebody with my Muddle Gluts. But yeah, it was a completely different game for the Mudglut after those changes. I mean,
Not bad.
completely.
That seems like you gotta figure out what one has that sonar range on it, and then prep that one out, and then maybe come in with your mudgluts after, if you can figure it out.
Yeah, did it show in the preview server? Did your outfitting the UT transformer provide any visual indication that it had?
It looks like a water transformer.
Okay, so it could be any of them, but I guess just assume. Yeah, just assume it does. So it doesn't have like a white ring like we see on ships and things of that nature.
No, it did not.
Okay.
Yeah, I got mine actually on land, and you can't tell because the walls are around it. It kind of covers it up. So, good little tactic.
I'm
I
doing that
actually-
too. That's gonna be fun.
I actually went one step further than that, and I put chromium overlay onto the walls, or affecting the walls that are next to
Okay.
my sonar turret. So when you come in, you can't tell at all what the turret is.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
A good one, man. I'm gonna try that now. Thanks.
I'm lazy.
Very good.
I'm thinking the only way that you're going to get by the Justice without getting hit by those thorns, of course, is an extra large quick pinch,
Mhm.
and you're going to have to pretty much bull rush past it.
Well, I mean, that the quick pinch will stop the special, right? The special ability, but it's not going to affect the regular attack of it. I mean, it might. I don't know. That might actually go through the pinch. Who the hell knows? I mean, these are things that, you know, as the game gets more and more complicated, you know, this is where the company has to find some way to communicate these things, either via, you know, a forum Q&A or something.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of questions about mechanics, and it's, you know, a lot of it's because the game's getting more and more complicated.
Sure. It's like the Harlock Alpha Behemoths there. You can pinch them, and they'll actually take a lot more damage rather than not pinching them.
That's because the special ability gets pinched.
Yep.
But nobody tells you that until you actually try
It's
it.
always been like that.
No, it's always okay. It's always been that way. Some people are saying that the deflections go away too, and if that's the case, that should not be the case.
Yeah.
Special abilities, yeah, that's how it's, you know, it's always.
Just saying.
This Suits Me in chat actually just said that that they had hit Justice Mugglets and took a ton of damage from it. So apparently it does hit underwater. So that
Good.
is interesting. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, like it really is going to be interesting. I would like to know some of the answers to these questions, because it's it'll impact the way that you use all of it. What has he got up for a slide? Carbon fiber casing. Oh, this is the
Phoenix.
yeah, this is the special that goes with the Phoenix, right?
Solid.
Yeah. You know, everybody that's passing up on that the Liberator TLC, yeah, you might not want to do that, because if this is coming out, there's probably a missile coming out, and you might want to refit those Liberators, and 6-day tokens are, you know, pretty damn good when you want to refit stuff.
Yeah. What do y'all think about that? The new what is it? The new
Charged armor.
Oh, we knew
Yeah.
we knew they were
the
going
new
to
charge
make it.
armor. There you go.
We knew they were going to make it. I just hope it's,
All
You know,
I
hope
know
it's
is
a reasonable price. And
It's gonna be
I've
fun
better not
getting
be
him.
10
Yeah, the
million.
Pride actually is what I was thinking about. But yeah, I changed it to charge armor. That new
Fall-
Pride looks pretty sick.
Oh,
Yeah, it does.
oh yeah, the new Pride's great. I think
It's 6.5 tier, huh?
It's a
well,
flagship.
the problem that I have with the charged armor isn't the charged armor itself. It's the overall points that you need. I mean, the thing is that the top players in the raids would usually, you know, stop and look at the raid and go, oh, hey, you know, so I'm going to need like, you know, 60, 70, 100 million this time. Awesome. Right now we're looking at it, and this has only happened in the last 3 months. It went from needing 60 to 100 million to now we're like 300, 400, 500 million for everything that we want. And that's, you know, and you can't even say, go ahead.
I think we're about to get to the same point. It wouldn't be so bad if these items weren't absolutely necessary going forward. They lied when they said it was luxury. It's not. You need it now, and they're going to tune the S sets, if not the A sets as well, around this armor. So if you want to compete at the top level, you need to spend 50 million.
For the raid, for the raid, I would say that it's, you know, not so much a necessity, but it will make your life a lot easier. For the FM, not so much. I mean, I ran a complete no charged armor fleet through the FM for under 2 minutes of damage. I mean, I actually got it under a minute, but I didn't have that on video, so it didn't count. You know, but you know, the thing is yeah, we're actually getting close to the same point, because what I was going to say was, even if you don't take the extra tokens and stuff that you want, if you just get the top prizes and stuff, you're still looking at hundreds of millions of points.
Yeah.
And that throws off the entire, you know, economics of the game. I mean, it changes everything.
You need to give me that FM build you got there for the fleet build for the FM.
It's up there. Go read my blog. I got all sorts of builds on that. Builds, videos, tips and tricks, everything. I spent a good chunk of time on that one.
We're pirates. We're illiterate.
I don't care.
Gridiron.
Learn how to read, bitch.
Just figure it out.
That still takes like a bit. 3.5, 4 hours damage to doing 130.
What are you
Okay.
running?
Gridiron with a monolith with a monolith 3
Um,
with a gridiron in the lead. Yeah.
The gridiron, I did a run with the gridiron. I don't know if I have that video up on the article, but there was my gridiron and my monolith have charged armor on it, and those took, I think it was like 2 minutes 30 seconds is my best.
Nice.
Well, one of my best runs. Well, that's the one that I have on tape anyway.
That's awesome.
I
But
don't have the charged armor still. That's the thing. No charged armor, you take some pain.
Yeah, well, no, the one that I did with no charged armor. See, when I ran the gridiron and the monoliths with no charged armor through the target, I was tired as hell. It was really late, and I'd already done testing with the Zealous first, and I didn't really give a shit. So I think I got 30 minutes of damage on the gridiron monolith one that I tested or that I videoed with no charged armor. That video is in the article as well. But the Zealous performs better as a tank the way that I drive, because I stack. I mean, I'm not going to drive all super fancy and stay in the ring and fuck that. I just want to get the damn target done. So I use the Zealous actually performs better in the target, especially if you build it right to take advantage of the mechanics of the Zealous. So that's a little trick that's really interesting.
Is.
So I don't know, Hefe.
Hey.
You want me to explain the whole Zealous trick, or do you want to just go to the next thing that you want to talk about?
Go ahead.
So, in the article, I allude to taking advantage of the mechanic of the Zealous, and I use Phalanx 3 instead of Phalanx 4 on the Zealous for a particular reason, and I also use what is it? Countermeasure? What the hell is that thing called?
Loader.
Crap. No. It's I always get it wrong and I call it the wrong thing. It's countermeasure equipment, I think. It's CM3. I use that instead of. Yeah, I use that instead of frontline countermeasure because it gives an extra bonus to accuracy to the Phalanx.
Nice.
And the reason why I use the Phalanx 3 instead of the Phalanx 4 is that it has a shorter range, which allows the duality countermeasure to fire first. And the duality countermeasure has the additional bonus of being able to fire at the same missile more than once. It's the only thing in the game that can do that. And it will continue to fire at that missile until it dies or your salvos run out, which gives you a better chance to shoot down missiles overall. They changed the mechanic of the arc missile and the targets in the FM and the raid because of this trick. Even before I had actually finished building the thing. So, that kind of convinced me to continue finishing the build because I was like, okay, well, obviously there's something to it. And I also have on it Speed System 4, so that way it stays just a little bit ahead of my monoliths. And it worked out really well. To compensate for using regular armor over the charged armor, I had to use only 5 D85Ds and 1 Judgment Mortar, because the weight was just, those armors are so much heavier. On the Zealous, I only had to use 1 panel of the D5s, 1 of M and one of X, and then I did D1s for the rest. So, that Zealous, that build right there, with that Zealous tank did it for under 2 minutes of damage in a 113. So it can be done without charged armor. It's just that you gotta plan it out and see what you want to do with it.
That sounds good. I'll definitely have to look into that. Thanks for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, try and break the game when you can. What do we got up next?
But break it in the good way, not in, like designing UAV way. Don't break it in that way.
Yeah, no more CCM scarabs, please, guys. Pretty please. I mean,
Well, there's the Bandit Hornet coming, so
Let's hope that one was,
it sounds like a superhero reject, and it'll probably be a BP reject too.
I don't know. I mean, there are ways that they can fix it. I mean, it's just, you know what I hope? I hope that the failure of the cesium scarab actually lets them find what was actually wrong with it for the next UAV at least, which then is going to make me go, okay, well, if you guys found it and you can actually get the next UAV working properly, because it's going to be an assault raid, there's going to be moving ships, right?
Yeah,
If you can get that one to work, why can't you fix the cesium then? But that's, that's a whole separate topic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for this one is not a splash based one. It's the splash based ones that they have an issue with, not the accuracy based UAVs.
Yeah.
You know, the D100S and the cesium scarab are
Yep,
splash.
that's true. Yeah. So maybe this one will be
So-
accuracy. You're right.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
that could be
That'd be the
could
easy.
help things.
That would be the easy fix at least.
Mm-hmm. So, and since I fast forwarded to the Visago's Pride because we had a question whether they would have any Seven Deadly Sins flagships.
There it is.
And it seems like we're going to have one.
I wonder how much they're gonna want for that.
Doesn't matter. It's a have to have, isn't it? You'd have to get that before anything else. I would think. That'll make your prize like
I
super.
don't.
I don't know that they're gonna gate anything behind the Pride. I think if they're gonna gate the Phoenix, I think if they gate it behind anything, it's probably gonna be the Justice. Yeah. Because that kind of makes sense, because the last time they gated something behind a pure PvP thing, everyone freaked out. So, well, if we're gonna have 3 hulls, I could see them going, okay, here's the Pride for X amount of points, and then here's gonna be the Phoenix, and it's gonna be behind. If they're gonna put it behind anything, I would much rather have it behind the Justice than the Pride, honestly, because I mean, it just kind of makes a little bit more sense to me.
Yeah, our behind this and this and the Justice, based on past history, that we would have to
Unlock one side, yeah, maybe.
unlock all 3 of these in order to get the. Let's see if I can go to it. There's the Phoenix.
I really just hope they just let us pick and don't lock shit this time. Especially because they're making everything just a huge amount of points. You're making it incredibly difficult for people to obtain the top PvE tech. The evidence last raid cycle, you're making it crap in the first raid, and we spent all that time and maybe coin, and that price turned out to be a dud. So either make it to work or get it cheaper. Now this is a skill hole, and hopefully it'll do better, but I really hope they don't continue the trend of gating things behind other things.
The hype. Well, I don't think they're going to stop doing the gating, because otherwise, they want to have the price set at a certain price, right? So it's either going to be gated behind something else, or it's going to be an exorbitant price to begin with by itself. And honestly, I would rather get 2 things than one. For the
Well, they
same
charged us
price.
120 million for dog shit last 3 months ago. So.
I mean, I just don't like the overall
Imperials are
trend.
fine. I don't like the trend either. I hate it. I
mean,
want to
it's
be
just-
able to buy what I want to buy without being forced down any path.
Yeah, I was talking about the overall the overall cost, like price, the point price.
Oh, everything. Man.
It's just getting.
I don't see
really-
numbers that big in my accounting courses, man. Could you not?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of depressing if you're a higher end player and you kind of expect to be able to get all the good stuff, right? And then you look at how much you got to do, and it's like, holy crap, that is such a large amount. Like, say if you need 300 million points, right? How much did the A set pay last time?
3.75 million.
So if you need 300 million points, how many A sets is that?
80.
180?
Yeah.
And if it takes a half an hour each for the set.
That's 40 hours over 6
right?
days again.
I mean, that's a job.
Yeah.
That's a job.
Yeah. I don't have that. I got 2 nights and that's it. That's all. I'm
Even half that is still 20 hours over 6 days. That's 3 hours a day. And no, people have actual jobs they have to go to because this raid is over a whole week. Well, 6
Plus,
days.
you have to,
And
you have
people,
to repair as well.
hey, you got to repair. You got to go back into work on Monday. You got to
Well,
sleep. You
that's
gotta
what I'm
eat.
saying. It's 40 hours of playtime, right? And that's assuming that you're going to coin your repairs and nothing catastrophic happens and you have the time to do. I mean, that's a lot of playtime. And I can look 300 million points. I can almost guarantee is not going to be everything that you can get in the raid. I mean, I'm just saying. The way that I've seen the last couple of
Yeah.
raids, and then the last
Not this
store,
raid.
yeah, and the last store raid. I mean,
I do like 2 3 A sets, and
This is
then
gonna be
I
another.
set on repair for an hour, and then I want to go puke. Like,
yeah. I
This
mean, even what'd you say? If you cut that in half, right? That's 20 hours, right? So 150 million points, and that's not a lot of points when you're talking about the store raid. And
that was how much the icebreaker cost. Basically, it was 120 million.
So
Mhm.
100.
And you got to buy charged armors because charged
Yeah.
armors.
So 150 million, right? We're talking 150 million points is 20 hours of playtime over 6 days.
And that's
Is
just the bare
3
minimum.
hours a day, right? It's a little
Mhm.
more than 3 hours a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's if you want like the Phoenix and ship build tokens, like
Yeah.
nothing else.
That's
too much.
insane.
That's too much.
That is insane. And
I
I
mean,
hope,
I can see
that they-
2 hours, but any more than that,
I
I'm sick of
hope
it.
they look at this and just step back and go, okay, look, what are we actually asking our players to do here? Because
No,
that's
Riz,
assuming that you're coining, because you're going to be coining these repairs, right? To be able to play 3 hours straight, or 3 hours and 10 minutes straight, or whatever. You're going to be coining these repairs to be able to do that. So you're coining. You're going to be a paying customer, and you're still asking me to play 20
3 hours.
hours, 20 hours, just for 150 million. That's not going to get me everything that I want.
For the bare
I mean, if you
minimum.
want to get the charged armors, right? That's 200 million. Plus this stuff is going to be 120 maybe. We'll go with the last time it was 120. So that's 320 million. So now you're asking me to work a job and pay you to play
Yeah,
for that many hours.
exactly. You have to work a job to actually play the game.
That was last ride, though. The last ride was a 4-day ride, right? Now,
Yes.
or 3 days, or whatever it is.
Well,
now
I'm
this
saying
one's
the
going
last
to be
time-
a 6-day
but-
ride.
but how much
they're
extra
gonna-
time do you
Oh.
get? Again, you have to go to a job because you're a human being.
I'm
with a job.
basing that 200 million points of charged armor on being able to get 10, which only happens during the store raid.
10 of each is 200 million, but then
Yeah.
again, I feel at least 5 of each, like one for every ship of each
Mhm.
is, well,
Minimum?
recommended.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. And I assume that we'll see. I wonder if we'll see a reduction on. I'm assuming that at least because it's a tech raid or whatever the hell it is, that there'll be. At least we'll get some foresight on what they plan to price these things when they're not in the optimal. So I'm wondering if they're going to lower. I'm assuming they're going to lower the price of the explosive charged armor for people that.
Well,
wanna use-
technically, they were offered a week before, or they all offered a month before the initial raid when, there's a future use for them, but they weren't in like full swing. And they were still 10 million then. And then with the deflation of the ASEP points and the inflation of the prizes, like it made it worse. Like, you actually have to do more sets. I hope they lose a lot of money so that they will actually take a look at it, because appealing to the humanity of players and we have jobs and lives, it doesn't seem to be working for them. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been sending them nudes, and I think you should do this, Brian.
I think that's what's raising the prices. I think you might
Well,
actually
whatever.
stop that.
Yeah. Well,
If they raise it high enough, they'll price you out of the game, and then you'll stop playing, and then you'll stop sending them nudes. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
that's how
look,
this goes.
when they're looking to set these prices and stuff, I could see them looking at each one individually and going, okay, this is what it should be worth, this is what it should be worth, and that's fine, because if you look at the grand scheme, then yeah, okay, I can understand some of this pricing, but the problem is after you set these prices, you also have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what you're asking your players to do, and I think that's where there's a disconnect, because I mean, just the time alone. I mean, just think about the time that it's going to take to do this stuff. I mean, how long did it take to do an S set? It was like 5-8 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
because I remember when the charged armors came out, and just looking at the prices and looking at projecting the time, that made Tito quit the game and haven't come back after he's coining and doing whatever. But there's enough people out there that still seem to be creating a market.
Well,
But
I
I
think
think
it's
they're
gonna.
missing the point that they have people that aren't Tito didn't say a word on a show or a word on the forums and whatnot. He just quit.
Right.
And I'm just wondering if those people are going unnoticed when they do things like this, when they're outpricing their market, and they're both either through time or coins or whatnot. Because he wasn't one that would shy away from coining things, and he's
I mean,
probably the type of player that they wanted to have, but with the lack of understanding of how they were going to be used and the huge cost and the amount of time invested, he just said fuck it and left.
And the other side to that is, are they really outpricing their market? Because in the sense, it's the whole thing where you cater to the top 10% or 5% or whatever, and they're increasing the cost on the top end players at the cost of pricing out a lot of the low and middle end players. And I think over the months, this is going to reveal if that strategy is a good one, because I mean that's what they're doing. George just talked about it. 100 million and get you everything, like basically, if not literally everything. And now 100 million is the charged armors that Kickside deems necessary to compete at the top level in the future raids, to speak nothing of the ships, etc. So yeah, it's looking grim. I don't like this.
Well,
I mean, and look,
I
I'll
don't think
put
it
it.
looks grim. I don't think it looks grim. I think the problem is that everybody has anxiety associated with what Kixeye has been doing, and their uncertainty makes them feel that they need to get more in the first raid or the pre-raid before a changing cycle than potentially they may do, because Kixeye's been erratic. Take an example this past raid cycle where you could have used Punishers and Citadels pretty much throughout most of the raid and got, you might not have gotten all the charged armors, but you didn't need them. It wasn't until the end, that we see that you probably pretty much need them, or, it's just, you don't know what's coming. I mean, because, you didn't need to bust your ass on the
Yeah,
the
the
tech store
rollouts.
last time in order to be successful in this
The
raid.
rollouts, yeah, the rollouts this year have been erratic at best. I mean, at best, and I think I hope that they have learned, which is why they're going back to the way that they did it with the Hell Wraith. But that's there's no guarantee with that. I mean, but with regard to the time spent and stuff, the other part, and they've been saying it in chat a little bit, is that you don't get to help anybody, and it's even worse than that. Like I merc, or I used to merc, but the last couple of raids I've not, because I've had to spend too much time on my own stuff to get the points that I need for the stuff that I want, which means that I've not been able to help anybody. And usually I have 5-6 people that I'm helping, which means that those 5-6 people, if they haven't found another merc that has the time to do it, those people fall further behind and get discouraged and then don't want to play. And it's a vicious cycle, and it all stems from, I think, just not seeing what they're actually asking their players to do in terms of time. I mean,
Also,
it's poor communication and a trust deficit with the community. And the reason Holsch isn't on the show is he's off murking FMs for people right now.
also the whole thing about necessity and getting the top tech and all that. So you reference Cannoneer Raid #1. Especially Mousers versus Millenniums. There was no contest. It was so much slower to use the Mousers than the Millenniums. The damage output was lower. They made the targets really such that the Millenniums were the best in every situation. Like there weren't grouped up turrets that you could use the Mauser splash on effectively. And if you had Ironclads, oh God help you. Like they were sort of okay in Raid 1. After that they were complete garbage. But they tune it to the highest tech and they assume that they assume that people get these and start building them day one. So I feel like instead of we're being charged a premium price for the whole, it's like if you want to do A sets, you're probably going to need to get these and have a couple of them out. And although we could do the last raid style, this raid style with the Citadels and Zealous or whatever, the first, I think that's because of the overall mechanics of a garrison in general, where you have the frontline tank, and that's more your limiting factor than the strength of the fleet as a whole. In addition, this is the FM, so they kind of needed to make it a little easier. And they also didn't have the skill hell out yet until like a week before the raid, so it was unreasonable to believe that people made them. Even though at the time it was released, the monolith was worse than the Citadels, you know. So we have to do a job to play their game, but we do their job better than them in our spare time. What? Sorry, I wanted to get that shot in. It was free. There's a lot of pressure, but the pressure is driven just as much by Kickside as it is by us, the players, in our own heads.
Well, I wanted to add that you're used to getting everything at this point because Kickside conditions that way. We've starting with the.
We've conditioned us. No, we've conditioned ourselves.
That's a bit of an ego thing.
That's yeah. We've conditioned ourselves.
At certain times, I think at the beginning of the Apollo raid, I think Daniel's correct. But after that, he probably no. Think about the Hell raid.
Think of the D-35F. What was it the siege missile that came with
the siege missile that came with the MCX?
Yeah, the MCX. How long did it take for it to re-release?
Yeah, that was. But yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, but that game and this game are completely different now.
I know,
and they release tech a lot better than they used to, like that. I mean,
and the Pride.
That's not going to happen again. I can guarantee you the Pride's coming out again. I mean, we were actually told that it was going to be coming out in multiple avenues, actually.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is going to be in the upcoming raid.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be the Nines I Have No Shame TLC that the Pride will come out. That's the second.
Look at the ECM Destroyer.
Yeah, the ECM Destroyer.
It didn't come out for a long time, and next thing it come out, it was like, what, double what or more than what the top hull was in the raid?
I think that was to not piss off the people that got them the first time.
Well, the Destroyer ECM was only what, the top
3,000.
Yeah, top 3,000 players at a time when there was a lot of people playing, and then the next time it was offered, it was 60 million, I think, or something.
Yeah.
No, when I got it, it was 60 million.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot back then, though.
Yeah, so it was a lot of points.
I actually have to leave, but if I could say something real quick, don't use a launcher on your tanks, no matter what people that may or may not be mentioned in the future may say. A solid fuel booster and a Harrier missile, anything with a 98.8 range will do you just fine. You can give up the extra special. There's plenty of room. Most people would just put an evade upgrade there, but you don't need it. That extra 4 to 5 range is going to help a lot, especially when it comes to the ranges of these turrets. I could go full on tinfoil and think that we're being intentionally misled, but I don't think that's actually the case. I think it's a stylistic choice, but in the live game with lag, etc., use a missile. Just, it's going to be okay. And with that, bye.
Yep.
Later, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Later.
So on that note, yeah, I don't know what the pricing structure is going to be for the next raid, but I have a bad feeling that it's going to be a lot again, and they keep on offering tokens and VXP tokens and all this other stuff, build tokens, VXP tokens specifically for specific ones, like ship specific ones. And I love that fact, right? I love the fact that it's there. The problem that I have is that it feels like I cannot take advantage of it because of the other stuff that I have to do. I have to get the charged armor. I have to get the hulls. I have to. I mean, it's just there's
Too much.
it's over. It's actually it feels a little overwhelming as a player, especially one that has come to expect to be able to get whatever the hell I want during these types of raids.
Exactly. Just think about the people that can't get what they want. They're just trying to get what they can get.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do as a player like that? Do you get your charged armors, or do you get your build tokens?
I'm hoping
It's-
there'll be some
Yeah,
co-op
I'll
target.
tell you, last raid I skipped the build tokens and I got charged armor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hope there's co-op targets. I mean, I miss those.
To what end? I mean, with the amount of points that you need now, it's going to be like base invaders. I'll hit anybody that comes into. If it's co-op, I'll sink anybody that comes into my targets. That's what I did in base invaders. It was supposed to be 4 players co-op. We were sinking people that came into our targets. I mean, it's just it's not. I don't know. I want somebody there to take a step back and just think about what they're actually asking the player base to do, because I think that they might have gotten a little bit out of touch with the actual overall time that they're asking us to spend on these raids.
You think you're gonna need like 800 million?
No, I hope not.
Just like
No, I mean, if it's similar to the
everything?
if it's similar to the last store raid and the pricing is similar to the last couple of raids in terms of tokens and stuff, I mean, if you want to get a bunch of stuff,
Half bill.
get a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'd say maybe 500 million. Between 4 and 500 million is what I would guess I would need to get everything that I want. And the problem is could I do it? Yeah, probably. Would I want to play the game for the next week after that? Fuck no.
No.
I mean, and that's
I don't
the
even want to look at it.
that is a legitimate thing that they have to look at. Do you want to ask your top end players to go for that many points and then say, screw the risk, screw the game for the next couple of weeks because I'm burnt out?
Oh yeah. I mean, I get like that myself. When the raid is done, I mean, I play hard during the raid. Try to do it as cheaply as possible. So, I'm playing constantly. Every time I'm repaired, I go out and hit another one. And I don't play the game for the next 2 weeks. I'm sad.
Look, we have to get the charged armors are going to be 200 million, right? And then if it's 120 million for the gated Phoenix and the parts, that's 320 million just to get the stuff that you want to have for the next raid. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're literally asking us to play 40 hours to get the stuff for the next raid. Let's put that in perspective. Just for the stuff for the next raid is a 40-hour work week.
I'm hoping they have cheap blitz targets.
Plus the coining that you have to do to repair after hitting all the targets to get the points to get the stuff for the next raid. And then after that 320 million, that's when you can get the stuff that you can actually use in your everyday game.
Yeah, you're gonna need
going forward. I mean, that's what that's the thing is this is stuff that I have to get for the next raid, and then then I can start looking at stuff that I want for my everyday game, which is the part of the game that keeps me playing.
Insane.
If I'm burnt out after doing this and not wanting to play for half the time between now and the next raid, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I don't know if that actually has dawned on them, because they made the blitz targets and then they're like, yeah, you have the option of blitz and this and that, but it's not cost effective to blitz unless you can actually afford it, and I can't. So
yeah, exactly.
I play and
When
now
that
it's
Sorry, go ahead. All right. Well,
No,
when they first came out with the blitz target, it was however much damage you took, If it was 1 coin, 2 coins, 3 coins, you could just click, 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 and it was done.
Mhm.
But then there wasn't enough money in it, of course, so they made it 10 coins
That's
or
when they
whatever it was.
tested. Yeah, that's when they tested it on the FM, and I think they were testing the mechanic.
Thought it
I
was
mean,
5 coin.
yeah, I don't understand why they put a premium on the blitz part, because
It
especially
was
when it's
5
getting
coin. The blitz.
when it's getting the way it is now with the points, you know, blitz is probably going to be the only option if you want to get all the points. And honestly, that feels a little
That's
bit like
sad.
it feels like a little bit like extortion, because shit, it's either spend
You're supposed to be
60,
able to play the game. You shouldn't have to pay for it to get it. You should be able
Yeah,
to.
but
it's either spend 60, 70 hours playing the game or blitz, and that just doesn't quite feel right. So
No, I don't.
on that note, I actually have to pop off too, because dinner got here just now. So I am going to go, and I will see you guys later on. Have a good evening,
See you,
guys.
George.
so yeah,
Good night.
so basically they're making us pay for not to play. That's basically what it comes down to, isn't it?
That's no good.
So if you don't want to play, pay. Because if you
Yeah.
don't want to sit there for a week, 8 hours a day, well, you're going to have to pay premium price.
Yeah, well, people
And
got
it's-
jobs for 8 hours a day. They don't want to come home and have to play 8 hours.
It's fine on the weekend, and it's fine if if you got all the tech. But if you don't have all the tech, then it's a bit harder even, because you can't get the 7 or the 3 or the 4 million points that you get if you got all the tech and you can hit the bigger targets. But if you have to hit B sets, well, or only A sets, it's going to take you a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just hoping these prices come down a little bit, but hey,
Let's not have 10.
good luck. Yeah, it's a laugh out loud moment.
Let's not have 10 million apiece
Daniel.
armor.
Huh?
Let's not have 10 million apiece armor this time.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'd be even happy. I mean, I've heard some people say, "Oh, 2.5." I mean, even half price at 5 million. I mean,
Yeah.
a little
5
more
million, I'll be happy.
happier than 10. I mean, 5, you do a target and you get one. It's as target, you get one. It's worth it, I guess.
Yeah.
But 10 mil, yeah, jeez, it's a lot of damage for one little armor, and you need 3 or 4 on a boat.
The raid this armor has come out for is now finished, so it should be decreased by a lot, because now a new charged armor will come up that we're going to have to pay premium price for. So
we
we can only wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
But the next raid is penetrative and corrosive.
Yeah.
So you still need the penetrative one.
Mhm.
They're just going to add the corrosive one.
I'm hoping my Apollos can actually do something. I got a Zol Apollo fleet. That's the closest I got to it. We'll see. We're good on the 91, so if it's anything like that, I guess I'll be good. But
yeah, I doubt that very much.
Yeah, be a whole new ball game.
I'll have to check out the new targets and stuff.
I can't seem to make it that easy. They've been,
No. I'm sure the first one won't be as bad.
Nor should it be. The first one should be, this is what it's going to be, because not everybody would have been able to play in a preview server. Not everybody would have even seen videos or whatnot of the preview. So first raid should be an ease into part, and then make it a little bit harder, make the tech that come up for a little bit cheaper, and so on. And sort of, yeah.
I agree. Get harder as you get better, Makes sense. Seems like that's what they usually do. Sometimes they surprise us. So, What's next? Did
Yeah, I wish
Hefe,
they would change the slide here.
yeah, I was gonna say, did Hefe pass out or?
No, it's a little too early for him to pass out.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Jeez, I've been with you guys up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, jeez. That hurts when you got to get up at 4 in the morning. You get 2 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
That was great last time, guys. Thanks.
No problem, anytime.
I still got it done though. Whatever. I just came home and took a nap. Yeah, toxic. You're like
So-
sipping on your coffee as I'm like passing out 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
None
see,
of
for me, it's only like 10:30 for me at the minute, so it's not too bad.
Man,
In the morning, that is, like Saturday morning.
I know. Yeah.
So now seeing this special that they're offering here, carbon fiber casing.
Yeah, it's. I'm assuming the carbon
There it
fiber
is.
casing is going to go along with the Phoenix,
Yeah,
along
And,
with the new missile.
and
Nice
and,
lightweight.
well, I don't see
Yeah.
the missile, so I'm having the fear of it's going to be a $9.99 special
Uh-oh.
No,
from January.
or well, they didn't put the Phoenix out earlier, so maybe this carbon fiber casing was actually a these two on the middle left weren't really getting tested, so maybe they're just waiting for a reaction associated with them.
There isn't
know.
enough time for them to bring a TLC out, is there? Let me check. I'm not really looking.
No, they can't do that.
It's only 5 days. Only 5 days, so they
I was gonna say.
unless it's a real
Imagine if
short
they
one.
brought out like a TLC for like the special weapon for the new hole or something right before the raid.
But the carbon fiber casing and the new I mean, I would store up your Liberator tokens and don't use them at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said on the Wednesday show, to use carbon fiber casing and the new missile and whatnot that's going to come out.
Yeah. I just hope it's not going to come out in like a time limited offer.
Yeah. I'm assuming that we're going to see. I don't know. They've been so unpredictable. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know when this stuff is coming out. So is this not a definite for the raid? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Well, they haven't announced it. No, they don't do that.
One would think.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, one would think it would come out in the raid.
Well, usually the flagship was normally released in a TLC after the raid, wasn't it? Is that how I remember it? Or did we break away from that last raid cycle or this raid cycle?
I didn't
quite remember.
completely follow. Yeah, it's been so chaotic that it's been different every time that I'm not even certain how things work on a regular basis anymore.
That's true.
Sometimes you got to pay for the weapon. It's been too hard to follow to to try and predict.
Yeah, true. That true.
So, are we running out of?
We're running out of topics.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I was going to ask if anybody had anything to.
no more slides.
Well, we got slides on whatever, but these are the important ones. I was hoping we had some unexpected guests show up at the house, so that's why I had to step away for a minute. But I wanted to. I wanted to debate with George, but I see he's already. He just got off. I wanted to. I wanted to talk about the fact that they're doing all these things. The UT transformer, the changes associated with splash dispersion, all these things to fight the muddle guts, and it just seemed easier to to change even some of the invisible stats behind them, like the minimum splash and things that, or even just change the spread on them. As opposed to doing all these things, they're going to make it harder for them to design things in the future.
I mean,
And
wouldn't it be easier if they would just, if you could just put like one splash upgrade or special on a ship, rather than having 3 or 2, you know?
Yeah,
With,
stop.
but that's
just, you know,
that's already out of the, that bird's already left. I mean, they already have all these ones that stack, and since they're percentage based, they're always going to be good. So yeah, more I was thinking was like, because we've talked about it a few times as far as like the minimum splash. That's like the, which we don't get to see. We only get to see that in the data mining. If they reduce that, so at the edge of the splash zone, it does, right now, again, I haven't seen the data mining on this one, but, right now it's probably around 80. If you drop that down to 20, you're changing, because 20 was what we had like on the old assault mortars. And, 87 is what we have on the Imperial mortars that go with the Empyrean. If I don't know where this one is, but if they lowered it down significantly, I think it would change the whole dynamic of the Mutterglots inside of people's bases, as opposed to doing all these things that seems like it's going to have ripples elsewhere. This is going to, with the corrosives over. Sorry, go ahead.
It's getting too difficult. I mean, you have to be almost a professor of mathematics to work all that stuff out, and then there's always something new that they bring out rather than simplifying it. Like I know it's wrong to say the good old days, but you had like 3 or 4 specials. Now we've got 6.
10.
Yeah.
And it's just too much. There's you can put too much stuff on, and it's all good being to design a nice fleet, but you can't even do that because it's so OP that it's a I win button,
Yeah, and I don't think that.
Then they go the opposite way, so that the I win button doesn't work because the sonar apparently in the preview spotted the sub before it fired. So it's either there's no premium with poor old kicks.
Who keeps on making the beeping noise?
It's not me, man.
Okay.
Not me.
I didn't say it was Raptor. Is it me? I'm gonna mute Daniel because Daniel hasn't said anything.
I think it's toxic. I really do.
No, I don't hear no beeping noise. There's none on my.
Okay. I heard it. I muted Daniel and it stopped. It stopped. Okay.
All gone now.
I think it's almost not just too much for us as players. It appears to be too much for them as designers. And I think that's the other thing that we've seen with these sort of overpowered, underpowered targets, and some of these things that just don't seem to work. They're adding too many variables into an old Flash game. And, I agree with Toxic. They need to simplify it, not just from the player base, but from the designer base, because it doesn't seem, every time they introduce something new, which is, I hate when they do that because it doesn't ever seem to work, but it seems like they're overwhelming themselves by, adding all these extra little twists into the game, not knowing all the ramifications, or they're, we're going to have 3 or 4, raid halls for each raid. And then they're, it seems like they're overwhelming themselves when they do this stuff. It's sort of like they all have some sort of party and like, oh, okay, let's add on this. These all sound like cool ideas. And as opposed to somebody making a decision like, okay, we're only going to do 2 of those. Oh, let's do all 6 of them. And
it's a big dartboard. Let's the most drunken bloke at the party throw the darts, and then we'll make a decision on that.
No, it seems like the more they add, the slower the game gets.
Yeah.
The further you get up in the chain, the slower your game gets. Unless you got like a $2,000 computer, which I'm not gonna invest in.
Yeah.
But, the more stuff you got, it slows it right down. Harder to play.
Because how much do you get for your bottle returns in Vermont?
We get 5 cents.
Okay. But isn't there a state close that you get like 10 cents?
I don't know. I wouldn't bother.
I know. I was gonna make a joke, Just take all your bottle returns, drive across to another state, double your money.
Yeah, New Hampshire or whatever. I guess they get
yeah.
more, but yeah, good one, Hefe. Good.
Yeah. And then you can buy a computer and coin more. You'd be set. Okay, yeah. Cuttlefish says Maine is 10 cents.
Well, I just can't afford a $2,000 computer to play Battle Pirates. So Battle Pirates is the only problem game I have. So I don't know what it is with it, but
I bought mine for like $375. And the computer itself seems to work fine.
I got mine for like $150.
Yeah, and
yeah, exactly.
Well, $150 computer. Yeah, you can only expect so much.
Hey, I still play.
Yeah. I know, but yeah, you're talking about the $2,000 computer.
Battle, that's all. So if you,
I'm thinking you have a pickup.
So take me on anytime. You got a 50-50 chance that you're gonna win.
Okay. No, we didn't. We'll just get Raptor a pickup truck. You take all the Blatz Blue and you take them up to Maine, and then you can play the computer.
Yeah.
No, okay, alrighty. Well, anything else? Anything else we got that's good for live, or should we go to the after show?
The incredible after show.
No, we're good.
Anything else? Anybody else has? Okay. Well, I'm gonna post the link for everybody one last time. We've been going for 93 minutes. I know that people expect us to go for 2 hours, but whatever.
93 minutes too long, I think.
Whatever. No, I'm gonna check when you got on the show and then say it's that much. I think it's 40 minutes too long.
Great.
Was that the self-destruct button just then?
Yes. So I just posted the link if anybody'd like to join us in the after show, and we can discuss bottle returns in all the Northeast. Maybe we can even stretch out to like Michigan, whatnot. See if we can find some 15-cent states.
And you drop them
and buy Raptor a new computer. So, does anybody else have any parting words before we get to that stuff?
Anyone
drop your balls off at my house. I'll give you help in the raid.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, anyone who's empty bottles, send him over to Raptor's place.
Yeah. Yep. There we go. You want to put out your address at this point, Raptor?
Oh, no.